The hair
I've
color.
got Emily's hair done up here. Have a seat and we'll get you tuned right up.
Scary.
Yeah. So there's, that was from the about 47 to the early 50s, late 40s, the early 50s. Because I found a My Little Margie comic book from 47 that had
Oh
she
yeah,
got her hair done.
had one of
really
those.
thing.
Wow.
And I know they curled Arnold the pig's tail. So I said, we have one of those. Oh, that was funny. Yeah. So then you have the other, this is a do-it-yourself one, which would go down the lampshade, be heated up,
Oh,
round and round. And then they have the electric. Same one. That's another one like that, but there is, this one here is electric. Same thing. And then we have the double electric. One is a high heat and one is a medium, like this one here. And they're, oh, they go this way. Yeah.
what about the shoemakers here?
Oh, the shoemakers, yes, we had lots of shoemakers. There was, seemed to be all the farms usually had one shoe last, and then we did have a couple shoemakers, 2 or 3 shoemakers actually over the years. And there's the different, there's some of those are the cleats in there, but there's the wooden lasts. And then there's the metal ones. And then there's, this one is another one. That one is a big one. This one, you have the special ones that would fit in there all the time. These quilts, they were made as a fundraiser for the Boy Scouts. They sold them as $25 for a square. And then the local quilters made them up.
Oh, okay.
So I have 4 of those quilts. That's another one. That's a sewing machine. And Oscar Jarwell bought it from Tumala. Tumala was a shoemaker. Mrs. Tumala's father.
Wow.
And they said, oh, we can get that working. I said, no, you can't. Because once you get it working, you have to put it,
Oh, not allowed to touch it.
yeah, that's why all the sewing machines
Yeah.
are down instead of up. Because it's bad enough they can get their toes underneath the treadles, but that's whatever. So this becomes our replica of our sitting room that we had in the old museum, where we had the organs and the piano and sewing machines. But this organ went through the fire, and you can see the keys got smoked right down, right into the ivory. There is no way we can get those keys to whiten up.
Yeah, it's all part of history.
So the organ, this organ comes from the church at Jackfish.
Oh, wow.
When the community was closed down, and this one was given as, the church was given as a, whatever, salvage. The guy from Terrace Bay got this, put it in his boathouse. So he had it in his boathouse, and then one New Year's Eve he decided he's going to shoot the light out on the boathouse, which he did. But it went right through the wall and right through the organ, so you got a bullet hole up there.
Oh, boy.
Does that show up? Does that show up?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's fine.
Anyway, there's the bullet hole.
Good thing somebody wasn't playing it.
And it was very lucky organ because he had his dynamite right here. Packed,
Oh,
jeez. Stacks of dynamite here. So I met his son in Thunder Bay at one big rap meeting or whatever, and he was inquiring whether or not it survived. I said, oh yeah. And the kids washed it down, and they washed it down, and they scrubbed it down, and they scrubbed the
finish off.
varnish right off of it. So, of course, when you put it beside one of these nice things, it would just stand out like whatever. Then I got this stressed wood when I bought this, and you put it beside it, and it blends right in.
Mhm.
There's no problem, so you don't have to worry about trying to refinish this and bring
Yeah.
it back up to the old time. Yeah, that's the church.
Okay.
Oh yeah, somebody was doing the history of the church. I said, oh, go find, I think Dr. Harvey, or
So this is from down along the North Shore.
yeah, this is
This
from Jack
was-
Christie, the other side of Terrace Bay.
Right, okay.
All right. Now this is, there's a discus and a shot put. Penty Jarvila was into all sorts of, there was all sorts of activities going back in the 40s and the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
They had lots of tournaments and big meetings
Oh, okay.
and even Ontario competition and stuff. So he had, we can't find this javelin. I figure somebody threw it in the bush. But anyways, this showed up and the shot put showed up.
Oh,
So
that's cool.
he was so happy when he found it. I said, I gotta get your picture taken of it with
Oh,
you.
holding
He was,
it.
oh,
Yeah, yeah.
So he was, so there, yeah. Because he lives in British Columbia, so he just come home to visit his brother.
Is that Carlo's brother?
Carlo's brother, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So he was all excited about that. And then that's Nipigon Bakery.
Nipigon Bakery.
Yeah, that's Lespi's.
Oh,
Mikko's grandfather had
okay.
a bakery. And that's how they got this piano, because when McCurdy was up in
Orient Bay?
Orient Bay area, when he had that place, he would get his bread and his pastries and stuff from Lespi's Bakery.
Okay.
So he built up sort of a little bit of money owing.
A little debt.
So he gave the piano back. This was actually brought up by William McCurdy,
Oh, for heaven's
and
sakes.
he had it at Orient Bay, and
Wow.
then he gave it to Leo Lesby, and Leo Lesby then, I think, had it at the church. Gave it
Oh.
to the church maybe after his first wife died.
So
Something like
that would have
So
been
then
up
this
at,
come back from the church.
that would have been at the Royal,
But it had a repair date of 1884.
wow.
It's from each other. This one would be here and that one there, and that one got smoked up.
Betty, Danny's.
It's okay. I'm good.
Oh, you're gonna dump some stuff? I've got a hard drive over here if you wanna dump
It's
onto
okay.
it.
Figured it out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and all these cabinets.
That's the first piano from Massey Hall. That's something in itself here. Be interesting to
Yeah.
pursue that little line
See,
of,
all the cabinets that you see around here are courtesy of Cultural Spaces Canada programs.
Hmm.
Government of Canada. They put $95,000 into these
a nice
things,
touch.
and we just about lost it all because the town was holding that. We didn't know they had it even, because they were trying to do the whole downtown
Oh, yeah.
revitalization. we had the money, and then we had like, okay, 2 months, 3 months to do it. Oh, boy.
How about this one here, Betty?
This one?
Yeah. Where did that come from?
This one, I don't know. That one, yeah, that one from Dorian. This one, I'm not too sure. It
Hayden
came
Guelph.
after the fire, okay?
Oh,
So
okay.
some of these things showed up without, they would
People
just be
just
there.
hauling down here, yeah.
Yeah, so I wasn't too sure. But that one, yeah, that one, I've got that one. But this radio, that's from Jellicoe.
Okay.
Richard Darling, I got radios from Richard Darling.
Wow.
And then this is,
Every one of these things could,
It's
you
the
could
Happy
do some
Gang.
research on them and have a whole story to go with every
so
item.
you would be listening to them on that kind of a radio.
The Happy Gang.
It's a happy gang. And then you get these there. The lamps.
How about in here, Betty, the Nipigon Bottling
Oh yeah,
Works?
there's the Nipigon Bottling Works. Yeah, there's Nipigon Bottling Works. So that came from about this is 1923 to 1969. Yeah, I got, Leo Lesby designed the
Did he?
the red,
The logo?
because
Yeah.
that's the loggers and the river drives.
Ah, wow.
So he did that one. So they had a variety of the different
Yeah.
things, and he was called Tommy Coca-Cola, and that was his horse, and he would deliver the stuff with by horse. Then these are just the different. There's the Rojo Dairy, different businesses of Nipigon.
And that Rojo Dairy was where the golf course is today.
Yeah. And then there was a dairy down at Matson's,
Mattis.
Nipigon Dairy.
Yeah, Matson's, I should say.
So, and that's, so, and then some of these things are just in there because they have the stamp of Nipigon businesses,
Right.
different things like that.
Those would have been little cream bottles, I guess.
You know, if they'd have got themselves together, I mean, there's a lot of advertising they could do rather than just buying something from China that's just got Nipigon, putting Nipigon on the plates. I mean, you're finding all these old things that had Nipigon on, like, and then there's the one here that's got, like, Superior on
Yep.
there. And this one is back. We were trying to figure out what year those were.
Little
But
plates.
Nipigon, Ontario. It might have been 1937 when the highway was open. You know, they would make the,
Oh, okay, little commemorative
Yeah.
things.
yeah,
Very good.
so, and then we have Isidore Wado's fish.
Yeah, that
He's our woodland artist.
Isidore Wado is
And Derek-
person's name that painted that piece. Is this also, Betty,
Yeah,
Isidore Wado?
yeah. Yeah, I've got assorted places. I liked him better than Morriso. Morriso got very black, very dark. Where
Can you
Isidore
go
was
over this
always
way?
light. Yeah, there's your dairy over here. Different ones. And so basically there was the three local dairies, and then you had, that's what's left. of the leggings.
Oh, there's the leggings. Okay.
And then he was, called himself Doctor on Snowshoes because he was assigned to look after the people building the Northern Transcontinental Railway, Dr. Herman Bryan. So he was stationed here in Nipigon, but he had to travel to the northern part by canoe, by tramway, by dog sled, whatever, hundreds and hundreds of miles. So he wrote about it, and I've got that up on the blog, Doctor on Snowshoes.
Mm-hmm.
So that was our first doctor in Nipigon, 1905 to about 1908.
What do you have next there?
Next we have our rocks and minerals, sort of, and there's the marble and the sandstone and the quarries and Lake Superior agate. And the tremolite, Buzz used to call that fossilized beaver chips. Because it certainly looks like fossilized beaver chips from his 8-foot beavers.
Yeah.
And then this is the Finnish culture here, okay? And between Lapland and Finland, and the history of the different families. Mathis. I should show that to the township. There's how you spell Mathis. M-A-A-T-T-A.
Yep.
That's how I always try to punch it
Yeah,
into
one time
Google
they had
or
it
into
spelled
Google
right,
Maps.
But,
Yep.
I didn't do anything with there. So this is a tabletop separator. Usually if we had the farm, we had the big one that you cranked up like that. But that one went on the tabletop. And then the different paddle wheels for making butter. Yeah, and that's just our little bit of our Red Rock house and our Hudson Bay Company. Now, 1859 to 1987, that's just its history right there at the waterfront.
This is the old sign off of the store up here.
Roaring around all over the place.
That sign up above there was the original sign off the old
This
Hudson
seems
Bay
to be a
Company store
tradition of Nipigon is to put their fish on the birch bark. Because we haven't found it anywhere else.
here. No, that's a Nipigon. Those birch bark mounted mounts was unique to Nipigon. They used to stitch the bark, split the hide and stitch them onto birch bark, and then they'd send
that's
people
the
home with
McCurdy
a
fly
fish
dope that-
with a mount. Where did that come from, Betty?
From Red Rock. It's from Corky. Sarky Corpy. Okay. He has a summer cottage at Polly Lake right beside Westby's.
Oh, okay.
That's where he had.
Wow.
And so then his, this comes from his, okay, Budzik. Anyways, I think it was from his son or his grandson or whatever, and Red Rock brought it over.
Yeah. Very nice.
It was sort of a part, but all together, like it was, these come off, that come off, and then they just wrapped the rest of the stuff all together. So you could, these things just sit on, sort of thing. So it was interesting. We put it together the wrong way. Put this side, we had to switch sides. So that was one of our summer projects one year.
What about,
And with it came all the material that they use. It's all wrapped up in. So what they would do is take your old clothes and cut it up and wrap it up. No, we didn't have the loom like this. What we did was you did the braided rod. You braided it and then you spiraled it around like
Yeah.
that and sewed it together. So we used to do that. So as kids you cut and you had to, then you learned to weave it, and then my mother sewed it together. So, but those would be, they would be the rugs like this, where these were the, and we could buy them in 65, 66, 68 from pretty well any place here was selling them. So it was quite and they come from all short ones to really long ones, about 10 feet long.
what about these, what's the story
Oh,
behind
this
these,
one.
Betty?
All right. Now you're going, because that was a doctor that he left in 1908, so there was a different doctor in place. But they were still building the Northern Transcontinental Railway. And in February the 9th, 1909, there was a dynamite explosion. The guys were up on the rocks tamping it down, and there was other people, other men down below that were still hauling, I guess, the rubble and whatever like this. And the dynamite went off. Of course, it blew those two guys up, and then the rock that come down on top of the other people, it killed 5 more, and one guy survived. 1 or 2 guys survived it, but the survivor. Now this happened at Auden, okay? Took us a while. Took us 4 years in order to find out where Cross Lake was, but Cross Lake was Auden area. Auden has changed its name back. So they loaded them up on a horse and sleigh, and they brought them down to Nipigon. That was 150 miles. Took them 5 days to bring them down here. They arrived in Nipigon. They had coroner's inquest with all the hotel owners and different people, big guys on there. And it was just said everybody knew what they were doing. The equipment was good. It was just a freak accident that killed them. So there were 7 men killed. Now 6 of them were from Sweden and 1 was from Norway. Now the one from Norway, his great nephew got in contact with me in about 2005. And he had a lot of information already as to all the names of the people, but we were trying to find out what happened to them. And then we discovered that, okay, they're supposed to be buried in our churchyard.
Huh?
But of course there was no crosses over there or
Okay.
anything. And I asked the Reverend McClure, and he said, well, they didn't keep records until 1910.
Oh,
And this
heaven's
happened in
sakes.
1909.
Yeah,
So the records like are in Thunder Bay. So he had all the records in Thunder Bay, and he got the listing, and it named the names of the people and where they were born, what their home was, and all that sort of stuff. So then, a couple years later, or a year later, all of a sudden, Reverend McClure comes in with these crosses and their names matched
Wow.
4 of the 7.
Hmm.
So, of course, it wouldn't be his great uncle at all. No, he wasn't there. But 4 of the guys were
Yeah.
there. But we have pictures that show the 7 crosses in the
Oh,
row.
wow.
And then we figure they went to the stone, but the stones were those narrow stones.
Oh, yeah.
And in the 70s, I think there was this big scare about falling
Pillars, yeah, falling over.
on unstable thing, and I think they got taken away.
Okay.
So, but these crosses were in the shed. They were white crosses, and they had brass nameplates on, so everything.
Wow.
But you see, they were foreign names, so
Yeah,
it just went
meant
in one
nothing.
ear and out the
Yeah.
other when I was talking to him. But then he thought, well, rather than throw them out, he'll bring them over here, which
No
was good
kidding.
because then, aha! So we got those together.
Nice.
And then I got all the fishing maps, 22 fishing maps come in from the guy that gave me, that wrote Paddle Pack and Speckled Trout. His son sent me his father's fishing maps. So his father fished up here in the 30s, the 40s, and the 50s. So he had these maps, and here's one from 1927, Cross Lake.
Oh, you had the name on
So
there
then
for
you
you.
go from Cross Lake over to modern day, and there's the nearest thing was Auden
Yes.
and whatever. So then in Buzz's little notations on some of the stuff I was going through, all of a sudden I said, Cross Lake turned to Toronto Lake in 1982. They keep renaming things, and it messes up history.
Yeah.
Like get out, I'll get out. So in 2009, it was our 100th anniversary for Nipigon's incorporation. It was also the 100th anniversary of this disaster here.
Oh,
So it just happened that the 9th of February was on a Sunday, and we held a mass
Oh,
service
nice,
in
commemorating.
St. Mary's over there. I took the crosses over and we set them up, and the guy from Norway sent me a prayer for the Swedes and a prayer for the Norwegian person, and we read out all that story. And so we had a celebration for that. And then at the same time, he respected the same time for over there. So it was like a combined service between the two, which was
Awesome.
really neat.
yeah.
Yeah, so then he wrote up, he was mad that they only put it in black and white, but I took him a picture of what it was we had done, and then he wrote up the history of his great uncle.
Awesome.
And stuff like that. But he came over to make money so his mother could keep his farm when the father died.
Mm-hmm.
He came over in the fall and he was killed in February, so
Yeah.
he didn't get there. But when the guy from Norway contacted all the other people or communities, and he got, so they all know what has happened to their relatives, because they had no idea as to what's going. So you get a little thing, and it just goes a little bit together and a little bit together, and and then
Yep,
all of a sudden you get maps from Vancouver Island that,
it all comes together.
yeah, they all comes together. And he was very patient, and so I've got a book on the story of the crosses, and I wrote a poem about it. And
What
all
about,
that sort of
what
jazz.
about the military stuff
Oh,
there,
the
Betty? You
military
can talk
stuff,
briefly
okay.
about that. I wish I could get
okay,
rid of that.
military stuff is basically one family.
I don't know which one it is.
We have Lawrence Martin, the son, we had the father, we had the uncle, we have the sisters, we have the brothers. So these all covered First World War, Second World War, and the Korean War. And then, being Aboriginal, they finally they realized or recognized the commitment of the Aboriginal people, and they started giving out the awards. So before he died, he got those awards.
Oh, good.
But he was a sniper in Korea. Now his sister she didn't get into Europe. She was just based in Canada. But you can see as young boys, they were dressed up in military uniforms, even as a young kid. So we have one article called The Fighting Delarones. So the Delarone family was also
Oh,
massive
contributors, yeah.
military involvement too. Now we have his uncle was the Martin from the World Record Speckled Trout.
That's true, yeah. He was part
And
of
that fall, he joined the military and he went over there. He was killed and he's buried in Flanders Field.
Okay.
So he was, so that's
He was part of the guide, he was one of the
Yeah.
guides that
for the
was there
world
when they
record.
caught the world record bird trout.
Yeah. So you get, you know, this and the fish and that and there and then whatever. And
Yeah.
everything comes together, a lot comes together with the fish because everybody got into fish. And then these are what you're seeing out on the, like the
Pictographs.
Mamegwishi and the rock images out there off of Red Rock. And there's about 31 different sites on the islands out there in the bay. I have a bunch of those up on the blog too. Now these are, you can see how good he was back in the 70s. And then this is from just a few years ago. And he sort of got wiped out, or is getting wiped out. And then that's another one of Isidore's
Is it?
picture. Yeah,
Wow.
just in black and white. He did such fine
How did,
design.
who gave these to the museum? Who had these?
This was from Brennan.
Okay.
There's one behind there too, and the other one Brennan. But the fish is from Stephanitis,
Okay.
Emilio Stephanitis.
Maybe
Yeah.
we could get you to tell us about the story of the world record and,
This one,
yeah.
because you have Gapin's that was come in after the big fish, but he had guides on the river to go with his chalet. He would have, sometimes there would be 50 tourists coming out of that area. Now each one of the tourists had 2 guides, so they employed a lot. It was a big employment of the industry in there. And he created then the muddler minnow, and his family has continued on with making lures in Big Lake, Minnesota. And his son has done TV shows and written lots and lots of books, traveled around the world. When he was, his father sent him back to the States to join the Army, and once he was in there, once they knew he could fish and hunt, he was used to guide the big shots, so he didn't see much in the way of battle. Even when he was over in Korea, they went fishing.
He and Ray Dupuy Sr. grew up together. They're best friends. All they did
And he
was...
did have a pet moose for a couple years. His name was Abdul. And I have the story of Abdul up on the museum blog. And he said they used to have a crow that would sit on the back of the moose. But it started chasing the guests around.
What about this guy?
Oh, yeah. This is caught by Edwin Mills, all right? It's the winner of the Mary Pickford Award, 1936, for the largest speckled trout caught in the Nipigon River. And it's sewn on birch bark, but it's sewn, it's flat, all right? Now the world record speckled trout was sewn on birch bark, but it was given a form to use up some of the extra flesh or skin.
And this is a description of how he documented a description of how they actually prepared the hides for skinning, for mounting on the birch bark.
Yeah, and the brown color seems to come from the cedar. The cedar, they used the cedar smoke. It says it preserved it for life, and it looks like it too. It just changed the color down a little bit.